Hey, everybody, welcome to Bariatric, the podcast, and Bariatric, the video, depending on where you are, what you're doing, if you're watching or if you're listening. Either way, I welcome you. I am Dr. Connie Stapleton, and I created Bariatric because I believe that so many people struggle with maintaining weight loss after surgery. Why do I believe that? Because I've seen it over the last 16 years. A lot. So I've been doing a series since the new year, really. We've been talking about ReGain, and I wanted to follow that up. We did an interview with Tony Marie, a two-part interview. We've been talking about different issues related to ReGain, and today I want to talk about a book called ReGain. It's called ReGain Be Gone, actually. ReGain Be Gone, 12 Strategies to Maintain the Body You Earned After Bariatric Surgery. And as I told you at the beginning of the year, I want to do a few different things this year to kind of mix things up so it's not just, Connie's whatever all the time. So I wanted to share this book with you. A lot of people don't have time or don't make time or don't like to read books, but there's a lot of good information out there that you can get from a lot of these books. So I'm going to review some of them now and then, depending on the topic we're talking about, and if there's a good book on the topic out there available for you. And this book is out there for you available. It's on Amazon.com. And I honestly hadn't heard of the book before I went on and looked for a book on ReGain, but it's a very good book. And part of the reason that I like this book is because the author, Sameera Kahn, Kahn, she's a physician's assistant and a registered dietitian. So she knows a lot about the biology of the body. She knows a lot about the nutrition that we need in the body. And she's worked in the field of bariatrics since 1998. So that's a really long time. So this woman has a lot of formal knowledge, formal education. She's got years of experience working in the field. And so I wanted to share this book by her. I'm going to give you some really good information. It's going to be two parts because I want to share some of the more relevant information for you. And that way you don't have to read the book. You'll have a lot of good new information about ReGain. And if you want to read the book, you'll have enough information to kind of whet your appetite for it. So, Sameera Kahn, let me tell you a little bit about her, which I just did actually. She's a physician's assistant, a registered dietitian who's worked in the field of bariatrics since 1998. The book, again, is called ReGain Be Gone 12 Strategies to Maintain the Body You Earned After Bariatric Surgery. In this book, she describes 12 weight regain core pillars, and she used the initials from weight regain to come up with these 12 pillars. W stands for willpower, E for environmental cues, I, increase your metabolism, G, grazing, picking and nibbling, H, hydration, T, tracking food intake, R for regain. Retrain your fat cells. E, exercise consistently. G, glucose/insulin tolerance. A, acceptance of portion control. And N, never look back. A lot of those sound quite similar to the gotta do ems, right? There's a lot of behavioral elements to her list, but there's also some additional ones that I was anxious to learn about, and I did learn quite a bit about it. I love the fact that she starts off the book right away saying weight loss surgery is an awesome tool that helps you lose weight significantly, but it does not guarantee immunity to weight regain and weight loss plateaus. So, like most of us in the professional field in bariatrics, she's pointing this out. And it's critical that you hear this from your surgeon, from your dietitian, from your physician's assistant, from the psychologist, from the exercise people. And if you're new to this, if you're just thinking about bariatric surgery, if you've just had your surgery, you're going to lose the weight. That's what surgery does. But again, it doesn't guarantee that you won't regain or have plateaus. She goes right into the business of plateaus and how to overcome them. And she gives three main ideas. And you may or may not be familiar with these ideas, but I think they're wise. And you've probably heard something related to this. But how to overcome plateaus. She says, mix up your food, mix up your caloric intake for the day, and mix up the kinds of exercise you do. So let's go over those one at a time. Mix up your food. So if you eat oatmeal every single day for breakfast or at some point in the day, she says change up the oats for lentils or quinoa. So you're just causing the body enough confusion because it catches on to what's happened in our bodies. And if we eat the same thing every single day, it's going to catch on to that too. And you may easily end up at a plateau. So if you mix up your food a little bit, it can help. She says if you snack on fruits and fruits are your go-to snack, try some nuts. So again, a little switch up. She says keep the body guessing by eating a variety of healthy options. Another thing she says to do is cycle your caloric intake. So she calls it calorie cycling. Alternate between higher and lower calorie days. And this is important because it can keep your metabolism working at its hardest. And we want our metabolism burning, 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 right? Now, listen to her definition or description of calorie cycling and pay attention to the numbers here. Here's her example for a week. One day, 900 calories. The next day, 700 calories. The next day, 900. The next, 650. The next, 900. The next, 700. The next, 900. So you see how there's a slight variation, 200, 250 calorie variation. But notice that the top calorie count here is 900 calories. So I don't know what your dietitian or your surgeon recommends for caloric intake for a day. And I don't know how far out from surgery this person she's talking about is, but find out where your optimal calorie intake should be and then vary it a couple, 100, 150, 200 calories fewer, and mix that up throughout the week. She makes a point to say, be mindful of how much you're eating because, and I quote, after bariatric surgery, patient appetites tend to increase with time, meaning you're able to eat more as time goes by. When you're first out of surgery, you've got that tight stomach and it relaxes and loosens up, and you can eat more food at a time. But as a bariatric patient who doesn't want to regain, again, ask your dietitian how much food you should ever eat at one time. One of the numbers I've heard is no more than a cup of food at one time, but check with your bariatric dietitian. So we've talked about food mix up, calorie cycling, and then exercise variation. Again, if you do the same thing all the time, which I've tended to do over the years, but in the last couple of years, I have mixed it up a little bit more. I've been walking on my treadmill for over 18 years, but I also mix it up with riding my bike, with doing quite a bit of different kinds of yoga, slow yoga, more intense yoga, uh, all different kinds of yoga, but you can do fun things like Zumba, or you can do high interval intensity interval training, that sort of thing. So mix it up because that's going to keep your body working at its best. All right, the next chapter she calls Willpower and the Hunger Monster. So let's see what she has to say about willpower and the hunger monster. She acknowledges what a lot of people tell her, tell me, tell a lot of us in this field, that people have willpower and discipline in a lot of areas of their lives, but struggle somehow in the areas related to weight loss. They struggle to maintain willpower and discipline in the area of weight loss in their life. She says that's because it's a combination of impulse control and motivation. This is me saying this, not her, but a lot of people, we try to ask if you have a history of attention deficit disorder or if you have it as an adult, because there's a lot of impulse control issues there, right? If you have attention deficit disorder, it's good to be on medication specific for that because it can help you refrain from impulsive eating. And that's part of the attention deficit spectrum. So keep in mind when we're talking about willpower, it's impulse control and motivation. There's a lot of research right now about willpower and how it's kind of a muscle that wears down over the day. So she gives us examples of when our willpower is strengthened and when it's weakened. She says willpower decreases if you don't get enough sleep. One of the reasons that consistently good amount of sleep is important when it comes to your weight. Willpower increases when you're feeling good about yourself. Willpower decreases when you're a caretaker, which makes sense because you're doing, and you kind of lose your energy. Willpower increases when you eat something good for yourself. Makes total sense. You reboot your own internal motivation. Willpower decreases when you are stressed, a lot of stress eaters. Willpower increases when you're busy but not stressed. So if you're active in your job and you're just going and doing your thing and you're feeling productive, your willpower increases. Willpower decreases when family and friends tempt you. This is why me, a psychologist, really helps people learn to set boundaries with people so they can say, I don't want you tempting me with these things. And willpower increases when the weather's warm and the sun is bright. I think we all just feel a little bit better. All right, impulse control. So impulse control is that automatic. So when you feel impulsive, you automatically reach for something, a slice of pizza or some ice cream or a cookie or whatever. It's like a magnet, she says, that's moving your hand, which is made of steel, and bringing it to that whatever unhealthy food is. Resisting this feeling is impulse control. So if you have a disorder that impacts your ability to resist temptations, then take medication for it. But this is something that can be learned. Even though there's a little bit of genetic influence here, you can train yourself to resist temptation, to have impulse control. Willpower is necessary, but willpower doesn't last all the time. You just heard some things that increase and decrease willpower. So the best motivation is that internal motivation that we've talked about before, that determination to do this for yourself because it's what you want. It's how you want to live your life. So there you go. So she talks about this hunger monster. And the hunger monster is when she says it's unleashed when you skip meals and you deprive yourself of food. And then you lavish with all these snacks and increased portion sizes. So she says you need to learn to tame this hunger monster. And you do that by learning what it feels like to truly feel hunger in your physical body, not just in your head. And what makes your hunger monster kick into gear? Is it stress? Is it boredom? Or do you just plain give up? Learning about yourself is required here. She says you'll avoid the hunger monster when you make an effort to eat slowly and mindfully. And if you eat slowly, it's gonna help you to feel fuller sooner, and you will consume less food. But if you wait till you're ravenously hungry, you're going to ingest way too much. She said to avoid the hunger monster, eat slow release foods. In other words, avoid the sugary, high carb foods and find foods that are going to fill you up. That's why a lot of us say eat your protein first. You want to have fiber, complex carbs, keeps that hunger monster away until your next 3 to 4 hour time to eat. And always hydrate. Always hydrate. All right. So then she talks about, let's see. All right, commitment. She talks about commitment, that you've got to have a commitment. Commitment is when your goal's already been defined. I want to live a healthy lifestyle. I want to, whatever your goal is. It's a combination of accountability with a set of timelines. So today, I will eat 5 times a day. I will start with protein. Today, I will exercise 30 minutes walking outside. Commitment is accountability for the things you say that you're going to do. So you've got to make a commitment and follow through. She talks later about trust, and trust being something that you have to earn within yourself. From my perspective, a lot of people don't trust themselves, and it's because they make these commitments, but they don't follow through. If you make a commitment to do something, but you don't follow through, you lose trust in somebody, including yourself. In order to keep your commitment, in order to stay true to your goals, you have to work on your environment. I talk about this a lot. You want to be conscious of your environment and set yourself up for success. Get rid of the crap, keep the crap away, and make your environment as conducive to helping you set your goals as possible. Then she talks about cravings, which I found really, really interesting. And she says cravings have nothing to do with willpower. Cravings are a thing in and of themselves, and they're a persuasion. They try to tempt us throughout your daily life, and they make you want to make food choices that made you feel good in the past. So we crave foods that either brought us comfort or helped us calm down. And a lot of those foods are not consistent, she says, with the goals of your current weight loss journey. So, cravings, in her words, I love this, are a state of mind. It's something in your mind that contribute to addictions and weight regain. So, what happens when you have a craving is that stress hormone, it kind of sneaks out, and that's going to first of all slow down the metabolism of your food, and it's going to make you want those feel good foods, the ones that are high in sugar, the ones that are high in fat, the ones that are salty and fat. She said there's several combinations for really unhealthy foods, and it's sugary foods, fatty foods, or salt and fatty. And any combination of those things are really going to be filled with empty calories. They're not going to satisfy your hunger. They may satisfy a craving, but you know what that's going to do? Kick into gear all the negative thinking. So here's how she says to stop cravings. Hydrate yourself. First of all, sometimes we think we're hungry when we're really thirsty. And before you go to the store, to avoid cravings, make your list of only healthy foods, right? Healthy stress relievers. We've got to have ways to handle stress because eating to deal with our stress is not a healthy thing. So find an alternative. We've talked about those many, many, many times. This is interesting. She says beat craving at its own game because their cravings are specifically using the part of the brain that uses sights and smells. So she says, if you visualize something that has a lot of detail, especially something you can smell and see, but it's not food. She says, imagine your favorite leather purse, or imagine um, sitting in your scented bathroom, and imagine it in as much detail as you can, or use essential oils because your body wants scents and it wants sights. So fill your mind with scents and sights, remembered wellness that have nothing to do with food, which is really great. So that's really helpful. All right. She talks about how the food industry alters a lot of foods. She says many hyper palatable foods are altered in the same manner as addictive drugs, right? And these hyper palatable foods, the ones we really crave, like I said, are high in sugar, fat, caffeine, salt, not a lot of nutrition. And they're absorbed in the bloodstream, giving you more and more reward in the brain. That's why people get so hooked on them. So you want to be careful to keep yourself away from that combination: sugar, fat, salt, a lot of caffeine, very low. It's junk food. Keep yourself away from as much junk food as possible because it increases the desire for more of those things. So she says the danger foods consist of the following flavors: sugar, fat, salt, or combining two or more flavors, or all three, like a salted caramel brownie, creates a hyper palatable food that is irresistible. You get the comfort, you get the satisfaction, and you get the irresistibility. But those things are really dangerous for you. So she says you've got to be careful with those highly processed foods because you're setting yourself up for a danger zone. So you got to figure out, what are you going to do about that? Then she talks about environmental cues. She has a whole chapter on environmental cues. And I love that because I think it's super incredibly important to have our environments free from those visual cues, the scented cues. And we can't avoid those things completely, but you can do your best to take charge of your own environment. Okay, so she says you want to base your decisions on logic, not emotions, because if you base them on emotions, you're going to turn to those foods that are going to not get you where you want to be, that are going to result in weight gain. All right, the next thing she talks about mindfulness. You know about mindfulness. And she says during your bariatric journey, try to adopt mindfulness by sitting down when you eat. You're taught this by your dietitian. You're taught this in your support group meeting. Sit down, pay attention to how you're feeling when you eat, while you eat. Chew each bite. Take your time with your food. You have to chew food really well as a bariatric patient anyway, so take the time to really think about the flavors, think about the texture. And she says, critique your food as if you were a food critic and you were going to report this in a magazine or a newspaper. She says, cancel your membership to the Clean Plate Club. I love that. A lot of people grew up with that, so you got to get rid of that. And switch hands. Use your fork in your right hand and then the next bite in your left. Forces you to slow down. I love that. And then she says, if you find yourself getting distracted when you're trying to eat mindfully, don't judge yourself, don't guilt yourself. And this goes for all the time. I like this. She talks about alcohol. And I'm going to read to you what she's written because I say this all the time and I know I have a bias about this, but to my knowledge, she does not. Alcohol is not recommended after bariatric surgery for various reasons. Alcohol offers empty calories. So we don't say, why don't you sit down and have 3 pieces of cake? Why would we say, why don't you sit down and have 3 shots of liquor? Alcohol offers empty calories and works against any weight loss goal. You're setting yourself up for ReGain. It absorbs faster, causing patients to reach higher alcohol levels in the body. 1 drink after surgery is the same as 3 drinks. The sad news is when you have an alcoholic drink, you burn less fat. So now you're slowing down your metabolism. It can reduce your fat burning ability by up to 75% or 70%. That's a lot of slowing down your metabolism. We want to speed that metabolism up, right? Alcohol is a liquid carb. It's a liquid carb. It's just drinking carbs. And it interferes with the absorption of a lot of vitamins: vitamin B1, thiamine, B6, B12, and folate. So you're really not doing yourself any good thing by consuming alcohol. She talks about the importance of when you go on vacation, it's not time off from healthy eating, and gives you some ideas about how to stay on track on vacation. Talks about the absolute essential importance of getting enough sleep. A sleep pattern is one of the keys to successful weight maintenance. And then she shows you and gives you a lot of different ideas. If you struggle to get to sleep or stay asleep, She gives you a whole lot of ideas for getting and staying asleep. She also says, make sure you power down earlier in the day, like turn off your cell phone, turn off all your screen stuff 30 to 45 minutes before you go to bed. Make a to-do list before you go to bed so you don't go to bed thinking about all the things on your list for tomorrow. Set your alarm clock an hour before bedtime so that you can start your bedtime hygiene. It's called your bedtime routine. And she has an exercise here. It's kind of a good one. She says, have a pen and notepad beside your bed. Sit up in your bed, list your categories for thought, sit up in bed and list your thoughts for 7 days. Do this for 7 days in a row. Divide your thoughts into 2 categories, things for tomorrow and things for the near future. Make another section for thoughts and worries in general. Jot them down in simple words. Now you got it out of your mind on a piece of paper, lay down. It's going to be easier to sleep. All right. She does a whole chapter of increasing your metabolism. Now, my idea of this is that it's pretty darn hard to increase metabolism, but she talks about some really great ways to increase your metabolism, or in other words, the rate at which your body burns calories. If we can get our bodies to burn calories more often and more efficiently, it's going to help with our weight maintenance and regain. And of course, she talks about the reality related to metabolism. Males have a higher metabolism than women. Metabolism slows down with age. Stimulants like coffee increases metabolism. Extreme temperatures, cold, hot, increase metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more calories you burn, even when you're at rest. Good point for increasing your exercise. And you don't want to skip your meals because your metabolism slows down. So, all kinds of great things. And she says you can boost your metabolism. There are certain foods, check this out, that are good for you as a bariatric patient that can help you increase your metabolism. Some of these are oatmeal, Greek yogurt, coffee, eggs, broccoli, cottage cheese, all those high protein foods, right? Berries, chia seeds, and cinnamon. Cool. All right, so I'm going to end here for today, and I'll pick up and finish the book review later this week. Check this out. The next thing she talks about is constipation. Oh my goodness, my grandkids would be like, oh, this is the best part of the book. Anyway, I hope that gave you some good ideas. And again, let me repeat the name of the book and the author in case you want to get on and buy it yourself. It really is a very good book. Regain, Be Gone, 12 Strategies to Maintain the Body You Earned After Bariatric Surgery. It's by Sameera Kahn, Kahn. All right, guys, thanks for being with me. Thanks for joining me. And I'll see you again later this week. Make it a great one. It's your health, your responsibility this day and every day.